No. So, hi, Fran. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Hello, you all right?
I'm good, thanks. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your work?
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name's Fran Garrity. I'm a semi-professional comedian from Middlesbrough, and I'm also a radio presenter as well for Zetland FM.
Brilliant. So, how did this all come about? You come from a comedy background. There are loads of creatives in your family, or are you kind of like the black sheep?
No, I think there's quite a few people that are creative. I wanted to be a comedian ever since I was at school. That was, like when you're about 13 or 14 and you want to choose what options you want to do when you're at school. And I had an interview with my careers officer, and he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I'd like to become a comedian. And he didn't know what to do with it. He didn't know anything about that. So I carried on. I carried on working. I carried on writing and things like that. And then it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I took the plunge to become a stand-up comedian.
So is it you a kind of sketch writer? Is it like one-off one-liners? What kind of comedy do you write about, and what kind of
Well,
cover?
when you first start out as a stand-up comedian, you want the laughs like instantly. So I did start off as a one-liner comedian, but that's kind of built like over the last 4 or 5 years or so. I'm now much more of a storyteller in my stand-up comedy. I've done two solo shows in the last couple of years, and they're about an hour. They're about an hour long, so it's a full hour's worth of stand-up.
Wow, that's great. So that is proper storytelling.
It is.
More like a one-man show, kind of monologue than.
Yeah, pretty much. I did two solo shows, and then I was kindly invited to go to the Edinburgh Festival in 2018. I was going to go this year as well, but obviously everything got cancelled and stuff. So I was part of a little showcase of working class comedians who were called Best in Class, and we had a sellout run for the whole of the Edinburgh Fringe in 2018, which was really good, really good.
Brilliant. Good to see that the infiltration of the working classes into Edinburgh Festival, like the sound of that. So is it mainly stage that you do, or do you do any like comedy writing? Do you do any stuff on the radio or TV?
Yeah, so comedy writing, I just spend most of my time, what spare time that I have, I do write a lot. And obviously with the pandemic that's been going on, that's not being able to do any gigs at all from March onwards. So that's been really difficult. But with the show that I've been doing on the radio, throughout the pandemic, we were still able to broadcast from our own home, which was really good. We got like hold of some equipment and stuff, and I was part of a network of shows that got broadcast to about 25 different radio stations. It was called the Lockdown Late Show. So they had different elements to it, and obviously me being a comedian, I would bring in like a 5 or 10 minute spot where I would discuss like what funny things had gone on throughout that particular week or whatever. So that ran on for quite a while. So that was quite good to do that, and it kept me going, sort of thing. Because if I didn't have that, I really wouldn't know what to do, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we've all fallen back to the during lockdown, the people that make it, and and what else have we had to do other than immerse ourselves in it from the creator's point of view, and for people with whole big holes in their lives to fill. So you're a radio presenter as well?
Yeah, so I do. I currently do two shows on Zetland FM. I do a Back to the 80s show on a Saturday afternoon, which is kind of like my era. And then I do the Sunday morning show as well on Zetland FM. Try and get a little bit of comedy into that as well. So that always works quite well. But it's very well received. I mean, lockdown, if anything, helped a lot of people to connect with radio again, because you obviously had a lot of people working from home, so a lot of people managed to tune in whilst they were at home as well. And obviously we were fortunate enough that we were still able to broadcast throughout the whole pandemic, even though technically the radio station shut down. I mean, people weren't allowed inside the buildings, but we had enough equipment, so we were still able to do that. So that's kind of helped actually quite a lot from the feedback that I've been getting, and obviously the audience ratings and things like that. They've been going really well.
Great. Well, it's really good to hear that. I know you had a bit of a tragic loss over at Zetland this year.
Yeah.
It was quite sad for me because I when I started off doing this project last July, Sarah Hayton was one of the first people that I interviewed, and I got her to write a list of people that she thought I should reach out to, and Julia Donaldson was on that list. So it was, you know, reading that back last week, thinking what a tragic loss, and how sad that I hadn't reached out to her last year, because it would have been great to have her voice as part of this, because I know she was a big part of promoting Teesside and the creative arts on Teesside.
Yeah, she loved it. I mean, she was always very positive, not only about the people from this community, but obviously the arts and things like that, and all different events that people were trying to reach out for the community. And yeah, she's been a massive loss to us, to be honest. It's been quite difficult over the last couple of months just to try and take it all in, because it was all a bit sudden when she actually caught COVID, and then, you know, sadly didn't manage to get through the other side. It was quite an experience.
Yeah, it was good to see some tributes to her, and I guess when we get out of this, there might be more of a celebration of her life, which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So what is it about comedy? Why from a young age did you want to be a comedian? What does it give you, and what in general, what do you think, what part does it play in society?
I just love making people laugh. That's it. Well, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And if I can connect to somebody, or if I can tap into somebody's, I don't know, their general life or things that they normally do, that you get a kind of connection with people as well. Like one of the solo shows that I did, not last year but the year before, was based upon my daughter, and it was called Faith, Hope and Garrity. That was the name of the show. And there was one part of the show where it just completely connected with the audience. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. It was that, you know, that you just caught everybody's attention. And I think just for people generally, you just have a nice outlook on life, just to be joyful and just to be happy all the time. And, you know, we have been through some tough times and stuff, but I think your sense of humor sometimes gets you through the most difficult parts of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I was listening to radio driving up into the Cleveland Hills a few weeks ago, and there were these there weren't funeral directors, they were like celebrants, and they were talking about those little moments that go wrong, and how that can actually be a moment of laughter, and it's so well needed. It's like when things are at their worst, it's kind of laughter is our salvation.
Yeah, it is. I truly believe that as well. I mean, I can tell you a little bit of a story. You can keep this in, or you can just edit it out. It's entirely up to you. But there was a period of time where my daughter was a severe accident, and I won't tell you the full details, but she ended up in a coma. And when she woke out of the coma, the doctors were trying to do different tests on her brain to test her cognitive skills. So they would ask her questions about her family, and one of the questions was, who would you like to talk about? And she said, I'd like to talk about my dad. And they said, what can you tell us about your dad? And she said, my dad is a comedian. And the doctors went, really? I don't think she's well.
You must be joking.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to, yeah, coming back to lockdown. So have you started making any plans for live gigs? Are you kind of hopeful that Edinburgh's going to happen next year?
Yeah, yeah. I was. I had a load of gigs booked in. Obviously, the ones between March and June, they just went straight away. As soon as we went into lockdown, I just got cancellation after cancellation. But then from like August and September, I got further bookings for like October, November, December, thinking that we'd be out of lockdown by now, or we would at least be in some sort of position where you could possibly put on like either an open mic night or a comedy night or things like that. So ironically, I've got 2 sellout shows to do. I've sold them out, but they're not happening at the minute. So they're going to be happening hopefully January, February. But I'd expect something to be at least up and running by hopefully by March of next year.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're all hoping for that. And I've got a wheelable PA that's got a 6-hour charge. So I think we know that we're pretty safe outside. So if necessary, I'm just going to be rocking up in any large public space and just having it wherever it is, and bring live entertainment back to the people somehow. But let's hope it's more than that. It'd be great to be to them proper packed out venues again, and it would be great to meet you in person. So do let me know as and when anything's happening.
Yes.
And it'd be great to come and see what you come and have a laugh.
Yes.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Fran. And hopefully raise a glass with you in the not too distant.
All right, look after yourself. Nice to meet you. See you later.